Thanks. So, are there studies that support the idea that sprouts are like that amazing, or is it something intuitive, as opposed to just regular, plants? Are sprouts particularly more healthy than the general vegetables that are out there that people are familiar with eating?
Well, I think, healthy is a subjective comment. I believe there is a lot of peer-reviewed published research that talks about the increasing nutritional content of value of sprouts um, that is not subjective. So objectively, the research is there, and sprouts are considered to have 20 to 100 times the nutrient density of their mature vegetable counterparts.
Wow. And so obviously with all those nutrients, they contribute to a balanced diet. Are there any nutrients that they lack that should be supplemented for through other foods or supplements?
I, I think that the awareness, there's a lot of talk about omega-3 fatty acids, and chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts are very rich in ALA omega-3s. Now, if the body is fine-tuned and you are consuming ample amounts of ALA omega-3s from chia, flax, and walnuts, then the body can efficiently convert them and make EPA and DHA. If the body is not efficient and all systems are blocked, then it might make sense to get a test and then to supplement. My strategy, in addition to eating sprouted chia, sprouted flax, sprouted walnuts, is to eat sea vegetables, algae, in particular, wakame and nori seaweed, because they are high concentrations directly of EPA and DHA, which are the omega-3s in a direct source. So it's so interesting to me that many people are getting a fish oil supplement, which is most likely rancid and a extracted, isolated food. But when you ask, well, where is the salmon getting the omega-3s from? Where is the salmon getting the EPA and DHA? It's getting it from the sea vegetables. So it's really powerful, and it's really possible to bypass the animal and get the source directly from the algae. So I think if you're eating sea vegetables and you're eating sprouted chia and flax, you do not need to supplement omega-3s. And you can test that. It's very simple to get a test for omega-3s. So that's one. Vitamin B12 is something that the body does not produce. Now, I remember asking Dr. Colin Campbell over 15 years ago about B12. And he said that he didn't trust what the studies were for what the recommended levels were of this extracted nutrient, and vitamin B. So that was, always lingering in my mind. But then you hear the fear factor that says, oh, well, if you're not taking B12, you could get brain damage and the like. So I will occasionally take a B12 sublingual supplement, or even more remotely, do a intramuscular injection, just a shot of B12 if I'm in an environment that they have it, because I do not have a direct means today of consuming B12. But what I will also say is, when you look at things that people say that contain B12, like brewer's yeast, most brewer's yeast is supplemented with B12 into it. So they're fortifying these things with the B12. Now, people are saying you need to eat red meat to get B12. Well, it turns out they are fortifying the food that they're feeding to the cow to get the B12. So it's not like the cow is producing B12 from consuming wild grasses and the bacteria. They're actually fortifying the cow feed to get the B12. So B12 is something also to be aware of. And then I live in the desert. I'm out during the day with the sun. So I'm getting vitamin D, but vitamin D is not very efficiently or commonly appearing in many foods. There are certain mushrooms and foods that have it, but it's very rare. So if you're not getting the sun and you are very pale, you should supplement vitamin D in high degrees. And, it's described, I don't think vitamin D is this magic vitamin, but I do think it's very important. And I would love to get it from the sun. Turns out the darker someone's skin is, the more direct sun exposure they need to have in order to get the right levels of vitamin D. And for that reason, I would suggest testing and doing a periodic blood makeup to see how your numbers are in comparison, so you can decide whether you want to supplement or whether you want to change your lifestyle or behavior or diet or habits.
So I actually had the same exact conversation with Colin Campbell today about B12, and he said the exact same thing that you just said. He did say though that there is no downside to not or to taking the B12, because it'll just flush out of your system if you don't need it. And according to some doctors, they say that it could take up to 7 to 8 years before you start feeling the effects of depletion of B12. So you think you're okay, and then all of a sudden you have problems. But Colin Campbell said the exact same thing today. So with regard to sprouts, and a plant-based diet, if someone's on a plant-based diet and they want to kind of up their game, and they start adding in sprouts, and not just little on the top, but they're making the base of their salad sprouts, and they're really getting into sprouts, what health benefits might they realize? Is there something noticeable energy wise? Their skin, is there anything that they would notice from going from a really healthy diet anyway, a plant-based diet, and then adding in sprouts in a big way?
I would say when we talk about a whole food plant-based diet, almost most things that we define as whole foods are fractional foods that have been processed to a certain degree. Sprouts are a complete living enzymatically rich organism. So when you're eating the sprout, you are eating the root, the shoot, the endosperm, the embryo, the seed coat, the testa, and it's alive. So, and it's water and it's carbon and it's fiber. So when you're eating the sprout, you get a feeling of high and energy from eating it. Now, one of the things that's really important to think about with the sprouts is that if you're eating them, like with all changes in diet, because they are so potent, start small, finish big. Like most people are starting at the sprouting company, getting like a salad mix and getting broccoli sprouts and adding a couple of ounces a day of the sprouts to what they're eating. But the thing that is really important, like we have a epidemic going on